Green School is a unique international school located in an exotic setting on the island of Bali, Indonesia. So in this video, we will discuss how to structure the educational process in the jungle and the foundations of the school's philosophy and principles.
First of all, I want to ask you a little bit more information about the school.
Sure.
What about the capacity of the school? How many children, teachers?
So we have about 90 teachers. Capacity of the school is, I think, physically about 600. Right now we have about 520 students. In the middle school and upper school, in the high school, which is what I'm responsible for, so to speak, we have about 120 in the middle school and about 110 in the high school.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because usually you have a quite big primary school and quite narrow high school.
Yeah, it's about the same size, give or take, between middle school and high school.
I can suppose that it's international students here from everywhere.
Mostly. I think we have about 51 different nationalities and about 7% are from Bali.
Local.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And what about the teachers? From where they are?
Well, teachers are half of the teachers are Indonesian, and the expat teachers, mostly it's going to be UK, US, Australia, Canada.
Everywhere.
Yeah, your English-speaking global north. With a few, like I'm French, for instance. I think I'm the only one. And we'll have a smattering of Irish and Dutch as well.
I could suppose that your students move quite a lot.
So it depends. It's different. So most international schools, kids will join because mommy or daddy got a job somewhere. So they go to Japan for a few years and they move to wherever, Buenos Aires. Whereas Green School, last year, I think it was 89% of the new families that joined Green School moved to Bali for Green School.
Especially for Green School.
Especially for Green School. And I think around 70% left state school. So they come here. It's a destination school. It is not because their mother or father gets a job somewhere. So that means it's quite a different population. The reality is that Green School, much like every school in the world, is not for everyone. So either you love it or it doesn't quite work out for your family, which is completely fine, or you're here for a year because you want to take a break. And so probably have the same amount of turnover as most international schools, which tends to be, I think, 20%. I think over the years it's been 20%.
Green School became a magnet for the location. People especially come here for Green School. Yes, that's amazing. And when we're talking about the teachers, is the same story? They are coming especially for Green School, or it's very difficult to find them like everywhere?
It's a different kind of challenge. So most school systems, let's just make it very simple. Unless you're French system, you're looking at either a UK system, Cambridge, that kind of A-level, or you're looking at IB. The reality is that IB system, if you're in one IB school or the next, it's more or less going to be the same. If you're a DP teacher, teaching grade 11, grade 12, it's more or less going to be the same. Green School, because it is closely aligned to an American curriculum, it doesn't follow these international curricula. We create our own. It's very challenging to find teachers because we want the right teacher. Teachers who are going to be able to be flexible, able to really put students first, able also to think about learning as doing, not just learning from textbooks and classrooms, but doing, applying, and also people who respond to the ecological crisis that we have. So it probably would be a lot easier if we just took any literacy teacher, but we don't do that. We want teachers who help teach young people how to express themselves, look at text in so many different ways, not just in a book, and also do something with what they learn. Not just writing a paper, doing something, advocating, pushing, moving others. And that's why it's so hard.
It's very difficult to search such type of the behavior among the teachers. Probably it's better to train them here, for example. What do you think about it? Some training center for...
Could be. I mean, we've talked about having a graduate school of education, just like High Tech High has in California. That would be the dream. It is hard after someone's done it for 10, 15, 20 years to go back and do things differently. A little secret, I go on LinkedIn and tap people up and say, I know you've been doing good work. I've been following you. How would you like to come? And, that's has its successes, depends on time and place and so forth. But it's hard. It would be great to train. But I think mostly people either have it or they don't.
To have passion inside.
You can't teach someone to care about students. I know that sounds kind of weird in a school where we should all care about students, but I think that we have different degrees of that.
Okay, back to the students. How a child could be enrolled in school? How you choose students for this school?
So it's always tough to pick in the sense that you get an application, you have to go through it. In the upper school, we have several processes. Of course, grades, we look at that. We look at a writing sample. We also look at a video where they have to answer questions about what does sustainability mean to you? How do you live sustainably? Something like that. And very importantly, what great things do you want to do at Green School? So that we start to already think about not, I want to be here because it's a great environment. What can I do? Most of the time, I'd say 80% of the time, I interview the students. I do and talk to them.
Motivation is more important than the academic result.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Let's see.
A lot of times, academics mask what someone can do. I know my own children certainly like this, that incredibly bright children, they don't want to be in school because they don't care about when we were in school before Green School, I meant, before we moved here. They felt disconnected. Tremendously capable kids. Sometimes the school's traditional sectors kind of suffocate what can be done. So it's important. I mean, if it's great, if they have great grades, but it's not the most important. For me, it's passion, it's the ability, motivation, the ability, the desire, the creativity, the ideas, all those things are much more. And really trying to make the world respond to ecological breakdown. Or, I mean, maybe they can't express that necessarily quite in a way that's sophisticated, but at least have that drive that can be cultivated.
But what final result do you expect from student at the final? What is the specific your expectation from?
We want to cultivate students that are response-able. Not responsible, response-able. Able to respond to uncertainty, complexity, able to respond to changing conditions, able to respond to adults, to kids, to the world, as the world in every single way. We don't need people to come out with fantastic exam results because we don't have exams. I don't personally buy into this idea of exams that prepares you for whatever. We can go into that in a bit. But kids who are response-able and who will go out wanting to contribute to the world. Our capstone for grade 12, they cannot do its capstone. They will not graduate unless their project contributes in some way to the community, and that community is either human and or other than human.
Are you sure that it's tangible result? Because it's very difficult to understand. Do we get it or not?
It doesn't always have to be tangible, but the intention has to be there. Sometimes we do things and we just have an idea and we might run out of time, or sometimes it doesn't come out, or sometimes it fails. But the spirit of wanting to contribute, I start off and I want to get t-shirts made that says it's not about you, because it's not about you. It's about you and your interconnection with the world, as the world. So that whatever we do has to be about contributing. Be that to people, to animals, to whatever, the plants. It has to be about contribution. So everything that we do is that way, and it's baked in. And I think that if we can have young people come out understanding that whatever they do should be about contribution, we've already moved something. And that's what we want to do.
I see. Okay. Let's back to the basement of Green School. What is the key values you provide to society, to children, to families?
So the official ones are I respect, which is integrity, responsibility, empathy, sustainability, peace, equity, community, and trust. Those are like the official ones. Okay. The values that are much more intrinsic or implicit are about that contribution, about openness. I think the value also, I don't know if it's a value really, but certainly this ability to navigate uncertainty. I know that's not really a value, but when we value the fact that we can do that, maybe it might be. Contribution, kindness they talk about a lot. I don't know if that's a value, my goal is to have kids who want to go out and, again, I'm going to go back to this, contribute to and as the world. It's not about you. That's the only thing that I could want.
Yes, sir.
And for my own thing, success means have happy kids who are learning within an environment of sustainability or regeneration. And that might seem really simple, but to have happy kids who are learning is tremendously complex. There's so many things that have to go into that.
Happiness is more important than academic result.
I don't think that they are necessary. Well, academic results, yes, but I wouldn't say it's more important than learning. I would like happiness and learning to come together.
Happiness and learning, I see.
To come together. Like we separate them in our language, but today we bring them together. Yeah, but it's not, if I say happy and learning, I'm separating them, right? With that little particle and. But to me, happiness and learning come together so that they're indistinguishable.
It's very important because today we have a lot of huge conflicts everywhere. And finally, we need to negotiate and to have agreement between each other. Probably it's one of the key values for all of us, not only for Green School.
That's right.
But when we are talking about Green School, we think that it's a sustainable school. Is it so or already not?
So sustainability is a tough one because the school was founded 16 years ago. Sustainability was a word back then. Our vision is a community of learners making our world sustainable. I'll address that in several different ways. If you look at the buildings, everything here, there's an operational sustainability here. An operational sustainability means we produce 98% of our electricity, be it with hydroelectric or solar panel or whatnot. The buildings are they don't have air conditioning even here. They're made of bamboo, that kind of stuff. But if I were to tell you that there is a place, a campus with greenery, recycled water, solar panels, you wouldn't know if it was a school, a Walmart, a bank, or a government building. That's the operational side of it. Having a compost bin doesn't make you a school that educates for sustainability or regeneration. So it goes much more into the learning. So there's a lot of schools that have solar panels.
Yes, already.
But the curriculum isn't necessarily aligned with regeneration or sustainability.
Usually they're different. Sustainable building and another curriculum.
Completely. We try to bring them together. So for instance, what we do here is, again, this education for sustainability. I'd like to move beyond sustainability because sustainability means to sustain, which means to keep. Coming from the Brundtland report of, current generations, their needs, it doesn't, infringe on future generations' needs. I don't like that at all myself because it's about need, which is extraction, it's taking. We're just going to take enough to make sure that other people can have enough to take. The regenerative piece is much more interesting to me, and we're talking about regenerative education.
What does it mean?
What does it mean? That's a good question. Because if you go on to many different platforms, people talk about regenerative education, but they don't necessarily spend time defining it. Now, here's the beautiful thing about regeneration. It can't be defined because definition has that word definite in it. And definite means it doesn't move.
I see.
But regeneration is a process. You can't stabilize it to define it. It's a process because regeneration is life. You can't define life. Life always moves. It's unstable and it stabilizes momentarily and then comes again into a flow. Yeah. So regenerative education to me is this idea of learning and doing in ways that create the conditions that are conducive to life. And everything that we do creates the conditions that are conducive to life. Now, life could be anything. It could be human relations, could be society, could be plants, could be animals. It doesn't matter. It's life. How are we creating conditions for life to thrive? That's what regenerative education is. And that's why we can have the most beautiful buildings here, and space is very important. But the learning that happens here is intended for life to thrive.
Does it mean that your education model has to be reinvented every moment, every year, every time? But it's a so stressful approach. Every time has to be.
No, it's better. Let's reframe it. How can you create curriculum, which is literally on the dead pages of dead pages, like dead trees, and do that year after year? Our curriculum's alive. We adapt our curriculum. Broadly speaking, we have frames, but we adapt our curriculum based on who's in the room. If I have a class full of let's say, 15 kids, and then the next term, the same class in theory with 15 different kids, we should have an open enough curriculum where the experience is inside changed based on who's in the room, what they're interested in, where they're going to go, where the conversation goes, how do we take things from the outside? That's a living curriculum. Also, don't forget that the students in our school volunteer classes. They say, I like to take a class on existentialist literature. I'm making it up, but let's just say that. And so we'll offer them that class. So the curriculum, we have broad strokes, we have values there, but what goes on inside the learning experience is really emergent. It emerges that we start off from somewhere and we don't necessarily know where it goes. However, I want to be clear, life emerges. A giraffe won't give birth to a hippopotamus, but we don't know if the giraffe that they give birth to, like what the size will be, So life emerges from a certain point and it has certain guardrails of possibility, but where we go with that, we don't know. And that's what learning is. We don't know where it goes, but it's going to go somewhere and we're doing it together based on who's in the room and the context.
It's very beautiful idea. And what about tomorrow? I suppose you already think about the next steps for Green School as well. Could you please describe?
Well, it's hard to plan. I mean, regeneration means we don't plan. Like we don't think linearly, going from A to B. We don't think that because life is not linear. Life is going to go all different ways. And so in this sense, we don't plan, but we have like horizons towards which we go. I call it more like trajectories. A trajectory can shift along the way. And a horizon is pretty much 180 degrees, but we're going in this horizon. And our horizon is to continue to have kids who contribute and to really try to build networks with other schools who may or may not do what we're doing, but they're allies. They're allies that they no longer want to be a part of an education system that's extractive, that puts kids through stress, yes, but also promotes this idea of meritocracy where grades and exams get you access to certain places. Meritocracy is the last acceptable form of social discrimination. It's discrimination because the people who get diplomas from certain schools are seen as better, which is what the word aristocracy is, by the way, the rule from those who are better or best, that depending on the name of the school that you have, you are part of an elite. No matter what you've learned, it's that name that you have on the sweatshirt. So we'd like to be part with other schools to really put learning and life at the center, as well as contribution, so that we work with other universities, yes, but also corporate partners when we can, people in the community, all of these things to showcase what the kids do, not having them to go through standardized tests.
I see. Another issue, as far as you have a so nice idea and you are aligned with the changing, what about the technology changing? How you react to this challenging part?
That's really challenging. And I don't know if anybody will have it. So there's two things that will really test civilization. Clearly, climate breakdown, biodiversity loss, ecological breakdown, and of course, AI and AGI. So we don't know what that's going to look like. Nobody does. Anybody who says they know what AI is going to take us to, you shouldn't be listened to. We are not a tech-heavy school. We struggle, I got to say, sometimes with where we're going with technology because we don't have anyone who comes in and tells us, like, you're going to do this whole program of technology. We also have, we aren't necessarily aligned within the school. Like we're still having that conversation, which I think is completely fine. I really believe that we should teach kids to work with AI as a co-pilot, as a tool. Other teachers might not be as keen on that. But I think that we're trying to figure out where we're going, much like every other school. However, what I will say is our policy is to use technology when it helps you create, not when it helps you substitute. So writing, like if you could do something with paper, pencil, or just go outside, we'll rather do that. But there's certain things like taking videos, going to interviews. Every kid needs to know how to use a phone and a mic. But we're still working through that complexity. And I don't know where that's going to end up. However, one last thing, AI and climate, they're linked, they're connected, not just because AI is damaging to the environment, but because it's going to help us through some serious complexities in the next few years.
I see. Back to the architect and design, it seems to me that this space is the only that have walls because everything is open.
Yeah.
Does this concept still align with your approach to education? Or it's time to change, to find another approach to the environment? What do you think about it?
That's a good question. This building does. That building over there does as well have windows. That building over there is the high school administration building, so we do it for confidentiality. This one, it's because we have books, so we have to make sure that the climate is there. We are increasingly working with rolling down walls. You can see over there, and you can roll it down or roll it back up if you want to do that. So there's that flexibility. I'd like to also talk about a building that's not yet being built, but we've got all the plans, which is our biomimicry for regenerative design lab, which is probably going to be one of the most, I don't know if cutting edge is the word here, but certainly impressive buildings probably in the world of education. It will have walls simply because of what's going to happen there. It'll be of compressed rice straw and bamboo and other materials. We're going to buy the compressed or the rice straw to compress it from local farmers. So instead of burning it, we'll buy it from them. Even the floor is made out of compressed rice straw. The roof is a green roof, so we can have flowers and places for fireflies and so forth. That will have walls because of the nature of the learning that's there, but they will be porous walls that can open or close depending on what's needed. So I think the flexibility is really what's important. I think these buildings without walls, in my opinion, I don't know if it's a school's opinion, in my opinion, great. But if you can have both, why not?
What about your plan for future? Maybe you want to open new buildings in different countries. Maybe you want to increase these type of the spaces. What your plans?
I can't speak for the group to do what those plans are. I know there have been ideas of expansion in Europe, and of course you've got South Africa and New Zealand. I think I was mentioning to you earlier, my dream, if I could do anything, would be to have a green school in a city, in an urban environment.
In a city, but it's urban space. It's so far from the green school here, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it possible?
Absolutely. A couple of things. One, most people now in the world live in cities. So that's the reality. Most of the carbon is emitted in cities, I believe. I mean, other than animals. Maybe that's not entirely true. But anyways, in terms of cars and so forth. But to me, it's this reconciliation, this idea that if you have to be in the middle of the jungle to have regenerative education, then we're all going to crash because that's not what we want. It's a reframing. So a lot of people say we need to go out in nature, but no, we are nature. Nature is everywhere. The word nature shouldn't even exist, but we use nature as a way to kind of, much like we were talking about earlier, language, like natural world, whatever it might be. But there's other ways to tell the story. If I'm in a building in Paris or in Moscow, whatever, and the walls are made of limestone, that limestone has a story. It has a story that it's dead animals, dead aquatic animals that have made it to limestone. Yeah. So the limestone itself, these in the cement, in the limestone, that is nature. That has a story. I'll give you another example. Plastic, of course, comes from fossil fuels, comes from oil. That too was dead matter, right? That's alive. So nature is everywhere. But more than just being in nature, which we always are, it's about our approach, contribution. How do we go out and try to reduce our footprint? How do we try to connect with others, treat each other with respect? And others, I mean, including the other than human world. Doing that in the city would show that we can do it because it's an approach and we don't need to be in the middle of the jungle. It's an approach to life. And again, it's that responsibility.
In that case, you have to reinvent construction sphere. Market. How to find such a proper...
You can't, but the reality is that everything that we do has some kind of mark on it, some kind of carbon. Even here right now, we've got lights on, we've got, a camera made out of plastic. I'm talking to you, So we always are going to leave a mark. How might it be minimal? Or more importantly, how might we consider externalities? How might we try to navigate the complexity? Because it's not good or bad. Everything's going to have a mark. Yes, we might revisit it, but there's other ways. If there's already a building, maybe it's about refurbishing the building in greener ways rather than start from the ground up. That would be even better. But again, it's the approach. How might we learn and do in ways that benefit, if that's the word, or minimize externalities, other life forms? That has to be in a city because the power centers are in cities. It has to happen in London. It has to happen in Amsterdam.
It's absolutely clear, but what about the tools? How to do it? Because it looks like a little bit marketing and PR approach that we need to reinvent it, but it's so difficult because it's very, very structured, very rigid. So it's a really challenging approach, how to make regenerative design in this city.
It might be, again, from a building point of view, but again, you could take a building and refurbish it with green materials, but that's just the materiality of it all. What's important is the learning experience.
Right.
So when we have a student here who's building a hydroelectric motor that he's going to put in the subaks, which are the irrigation systems here to help local farmers generate energy, that's contribution.
I see, I agree.
But you can do that in a city. When we have here a student who's going to try to, for instance, she's going to write a play, bringing in expat community and Balinese community so that they cooperate together in 2 languages. You could definitely do that in a city, multiple languages. So it's just an approach. I can talk for hours about this, about how we might think about the learning experiences in ways that we do in order to give to others rather than just make it about oneself. That has to happen in cities. Again, most of the power centers are in cities. That's where it starts. Otherwise, we're all headed for the wall.
Why are you personally involved in a Green School mission development?
I think it's ecological breakdown and biodiversity extinction are probably serious things for our civilization and all life on Earth. And if I wasn't at the Green School, I'd probably get out of education and try to do it some other way. Education is my entry point. Many other people have different entry points. And again, we need to build alliances. Somebody might do it in medicine. Somebody might do it in whatever law. I get more energy out of young people than I do out of adults. So, it makes me happy. But I'm really concerned about ecological breakdown and civilizational collapse. And I don't think it's dramatic. We are at that point. And I just want to, I don't know
make impact.
Not make impact, just try to do whatever I can in order to change that trajectory. Change the trajectory in every which way. These conversations allow me to do this. Other conversations that I have, other people help me and we learn from one another. That's what I want.
How do you see new generation of children? Probably they will save us. Maybe they will change everything.
Maybe. I'm not waiting for somebody to save. I think we live in this world where, a lot of people are saying that technology is going to save us. It'll be fine. It's in the future. We're in it now.
We are.
We are in it now. I mean, the climate right now is really kicking back. We watched a lot of Hollywood movies, and Hollywood movies at the end, you pretty much know it's going to be okay, but it might not be okay. And I'm okay to, and I'm not saying, the next generation or the future, there are hope. I think that is false medicine. We are together in this, and we can only do what we can to make sure that they are as equipped as they can to deal with uncertainty, complexity, volatility, and a whole lot of mess. And I'm not trying to put a downer. It's the reality. It's simply the reality. And talking any other way really is the problem. And that's okay. That's okay. We, as Donna Haraway would say, we stay with the trouble. It's cool. We are here. We're going to figure it out.